Chapter 13 of Revelation does not speak of a distant future. It speaks of the present no one wants to see. John saw a system emerging from the crowds, gaining form, voice, and authority. He described an invisible structure that controls, seduces, negotiates, and is applauded. Meanwhile, the world keeps living as if it were just politics, just technology, just routine. The beast rising from the sea is not a monster. It is a global system disguised as progress. It is in laws, screens, speeches, and soft promises asking for peace without truth. And whoever dares to question is silenced with pretty words and moral condemnation. The prophecy is alive. The empire will not come. It is already functioning. The most frightening thing is not the beast's roar. It is its elegant silence. It does not force. It convinces. It does not threaten. It rewards. It does not dominate. It seduces. And while millions marvel, only a few resist. But understanding, this changes everything, because once you see it, there is no going back. John did not see a solitary beast, but something rising from the waters with structure, strength, and influence. The sea he describes is not geographical. It is symbolic. It represents restless crowds, nations in turmoil, cultures mixed without, direction. From there, amid humanity's cries, emerges something with the appearance of a creature, but the essence of a system. It is not just a man. It is a composite body, an empire disguised as civilization. This system is not born overnight. It feeds on the waves, the speeches, the instability. It grows through politics, religion, and commerce until it seems inevitable. That is why the beast has the form of an animal, but the power of a machine. It does not bark, it operates. It does not bleed, it profits. The beast John saw has long breath, seductive appearance, and a rotten soul. Its goal is not to shock, it is to conquer unnoticed. Revelation 13:1 describes it clearly. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The image is brutal, but precise. It is not a random vision. Every detail carries weight. 7 heads signify strategic intelligence. 10 horns indicate delegated authority. John was not delirious. He was seeing the structure behind the appearance, the system behind the spectacle, and the most unsettling part, this. Beast does not hide. It dominates naturally. It is in headlines, laws, and the pretty words that call for tolerance but promote submission. The world calls it progress. The Bible calls it a beast. And as it grows, those with spiritual eyes sense something being woven. Behind the visible, it is not a conspiracy of men. It is the orchestration of an entity disguised as order. Many still expect a charismatic figure, an evil ruler. But the prophecy goes further. The beast is a system that uses people. It does not depend on them. It can change faces, languages, countries, but its soul remains the same: control. This is the most effective deception of recent times, waiting for the horned monster while applauding the system in suits and smiles. And this is where spiritual eyes must open, because the beast is no longer rising. It is seated. And those who think it will come tomorrow are already living inside it today. But the most disconcerting part is realizing how it organizes itself. Because in the second prophetic movement, John does not see only its form, but its alliances. And that changes everything. John's vision was not symbolic delirium. It was a spiritual X-ray of a meticulously assembled system. When he writes that the beast had 7 heads and 10 horns, he is saying it does not act alone. It is a creature made of alliances. Each head thinks, each horn strikes, and together they form an organism with multiple centers of power, but a single command behind it. These heads represent intelligences, political, military, financial, religious, technological, cultural, and ideological. All serve the same body, and the horns are not mere details. They are authorities, kings, presidents, global leaders, corporate heads all wield power, but answer to the same root. Revelation 17 confirms this. The 10 horns are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. That is why, despite so much diversity in appearance in the world, different parties, various religions, supposedly opposing platforms, the course always seems the same. They do not truly contradict each other. They alternate to keep the people entertained while following the beast's script. Unity is not in words but in results: domination, surveillance, inversion of values, and global seduction. Today, these alliances are visible. Governments surrender sovereignty to global political science. Technology companies dictate morality. Religions lose their essence in the name of a peace without truth. Corporations fund ideologies as if they were social causes. All this appears benevolent, but it is strategy. What John saw was a union disguised as plurality. Different heads, but one direction. These alliances are not made in public. They form behind the scenes, in closed rooms, with diplomatic smiles and promises of stability. The beast does not roar. It negotiates. It conquers not with armies, but with signatures. And when someone tries to break this cycle, they are discredited, silenced, or discarded. Because the system does not allow cracks, only simulations of freedom, and in this scenario of pacts and cross commands, the modern spectator thinks there is still choice. But what exists is a labyrinth with false exits. What John revealed is that this structure is alive, coordinated, and much closer than imagined. And as he continues his description, what comes next is even more unsettling. The world does not just accept the beast, it is enchanted by it. The prophecy does not show a direct confrontation between the people and the beast. What John writes is far more terrifying, and all the world wondered after the beast, Revelation 13:3. This means it will not be imposed by force. It will be admired, idolized, applauded. The whole world will run after it as if seeing something glorious, not because they are forced, but because they have been seduced. Today, this is already happening. The crowds do not follow the truth. They follow what shines. They celebrate those with fame, money, and influence. It does not matter if they blaspheme, distort, or pervert. If they have a stage, they have applause. If they have power, they have reverence. What John saw was this: a world that does not resist the system, because the system knows exactly how to be desired. It is not just about political leaders. It is about structures that sell lifestyles, ideology, and supposed freedom. Brands become status symbols. Apps become modern confessors. Celebrities become temporary gods. And each of these idols carries the mark of the beast, even if no one sees it. Because it does not present itself as a monster, it disguises itself as an ideal. The wonder John describes is emotional, not rational. People do not follow because they analyzed. They follow because they felt. The system knows how to create enchantment. It offers comfort, avoids pain, promises belonging. It makes following the beast seem like choosing good. And those who oppose it are labeled backward, radical, or sick. This is how the prophecy is fulfilled, in the normalcy of collective delusion. The worst part is that most do not notice. They live inside the system, sustain the system, defend the system, and do not even know they are already enchanted. It is like a gentle spell, made with beautiful images and emotional promises. John was not exaggerating. He saw a world surrendered to illusion, a world that confuses power with truth, success with blessing, progress with salvation. And when this admiration spreads, the next step is inevitable. Because once the system is accepted, it begins to speak. The beast does not remain silent. It has a mouth. It has a message. And the voice that echoes from it is not neutral. John saw and heard. Something even more serious. The beast begins to mock God before the eyes of the world. John did not just see the beast, he heard what it said, and what came from its mouth was poison disguised as wisdom. Revelation 13:5 reveals, "And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. It is not merely a roar, it is a continuous, seductive, rehearsed speech. It is the voice that corrodes faith, mocking what remains sacred. Today, this mouth is active. It is not limited to one leader or one nation. It speaks through presenters, artists, influencers, teachers, even religious leaders. It applauds what Scripture condemns. It ridicules holiness. It calls fanaticism what is faithfulness. It gives stage to error and silences the truth. And the whole world listens and repeats like a soulless choir. The most dangerous part is that this mouth has learned to disguise blasphemies as humor, art, opinion. It does not speak like a demon. It speaks like a celebrity. And so millions feed on its words every day, unaware they are being shaped by a spirit opposed to God. John saw this mouth. It did not speak quietly. It was exalted. And its influence was not marginal. It was global. The blasphemies are not just against the name of God. They are against everything he established: family, truth, purity, justice. The system turns what is right into a joke, and those who still try to defend what is upright are attacked as villains. The beast has learned to manipulate the narrative. It does not silence the righteous with force, but with shame. It makes the faithful seem backward, bitter, outdated. This is how faith fades away, little by little. Meanwhile, the altars of the modern world are occupied by empty speeches, shallow awards, inverted doctrines. The pulpit is now the screen, the temple, the studio. The liturgy is digital, and the gospel preached is different. A gospel without a cross, without sacrifice, without truth. This is the mouth of the beast. It speaks a lot, speaks beautifully, speaks loudly, but it speaks against heaven. And even with all this being said, many still do not see, because they expected blatant blasphemy, not a camouflaged praise of error. But John saw. He saw what was being proclaimed, and he also saw that this system would not last forever. The beast would have a time, 42 months, and this number, which seems simple, carries a prophetic warning unfolding before our eyes. Nothing happens without permission from above. And John makes this clear when he writes, "And power was given unto him to continue 42 months." Revelation 13:5. The beast does not reign by its own will. It reigns by permission. But this permission has a deadline: 42 months, 3.5 years. A short time in the line of eternity, but intense enough to test hearts, divide loyalties, and expose who serves whom. This number does not appear by chance. In Daniel, it is already cited as a time of persecution. In Revelation, it is repeated with weight. It represents a period of pressure, but also of revelation. God allows the beast to act, not so it may win, but so it may be revealed. Because in normal times, the disguise continues, but in prophetic times, the spirit behind the structures appears. Today, we live in this window, not with a fixed calendar, but with unmistakable symptoms. The inversion of values, the advance of control, global manipulation, widespread spiritual seduction, all of this pulses like an invisible clock. The world does not just seem wrong, it seems directed. And those with eyes trained by faith feel the time shortening, as if every decision now carries eternal weight. The most frightening part is that most do not realize everything is happening with divine permission. They think God has lost control, or that evil has won. But the prophecy is clear. Power was given to it. That means God is allowing it, yes, but is also measuring. Nothing is out of time. No movement is random. The beast acts, but under surveillance. It is a test. And only those who understand this can endure without collapsing. During this period, there will be apparent victory of evil, silencing of the righteous, glorification of lies. But all this was already written. John was not shocked to see the beast reigning. He understood that even the system's dominion was within the greater plan, and that changes everything. Because knowing that evil has a time limit is the first step to refusing to bow before it. And if the beast has a set time, those on the right side must resist until the end of that time. Because right after the 42 months, John sees something extraordinary. Those who did not bow, those who stood firm, even without a stage, without power, without applause. And it is about them that the prophecy says something that separates those who follow the beast from those who belong to the Lamb. Owen writes without beating around the bush, "And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world." Revelation 13:8. The division is clear. The whole world surrenders, except those who belong to the Lamb. There is no middle ground, no neutrality. You are either in the system or you are written. What is frightening about this prophecy is not only the mass worship, it is the tiny exception. Few resist. Because resisting the beast demands something the modern world despises: invisible faithfulness. It is not a resistance made of shouts, but of silence, not of outward rebellion, but of secret loyalty that refuses to sell out, even when everything around demands it. Those who do not worship are not ordinary rebels. They are marked souls, people who, deep inside, have a root that will not bend. Even when persecuted, silenced, ridiculed, they continue without bowing. And this is not because they are strong, but because their names were already written. It is not about merit, it is about belonging. They cannot follow the beast, because they have already been found by the Lamb. While the world offers comfort in exchange for surrender, these choose pain with a clear conscience. They will not accept a system that demands denying the essence of God. And this will not be a public heroic act. It will be a solitary decision repeated day after day away from the eyes of the world. Because resisting the beast is not just saying no, it is living an eternal yes to what is true. The beast does not demand only outward obedience. It wants the heart. That is why those whose names are in the book of life are so hated. Because they prove the beast is not omnipotent. They are living cracks in the system, people who still carry light while everything darkens. For this reason, they will be seen as threats, and for this reason, they will be targeted. But they are also the only ones who will come out spiritually alive from this era. And it is in this contrast that John prepares us for the next revelation. Because if the first beast seeks explicit worship, the second comes with an even subtler strategy. It disguises itself. It has the appearance of a lamb, but the voice of a dragon. And this is what confuses even those who believe they stand firm. John continues his vision and describes something even more unsettling. "And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon." Revelation 13:11. This second beast does not appear hostile. It presents itself with an appearance of piety, as if coming in the name of good faith and harmony. But its voice betrays its origin, because what it speaks carries the breath of hell itself. This is the most effective strategy of evil in the end times, to appear sacred, not to convince by force, but by affection, not to impose, but to seduce. The second beast does not want to scare, it wants to convince, attract, embrace. And when it speaks, the tone is gentle, but the content is poisonous. It mixes spirituality with system, faith with manipulation. And thus, it confuses even those who already knew the truth. The most serious thing is that it acts in the name of the first system. It has no light of its own. It is an instrument. The Bible says it exercises all the authority of the first. beast before it. In other words, it seems like religion, but serves the empire. It seems like a pastor, but is a servant of the dragon. And this is already among us. These are movements that use God's name to support agendas He never approved. Worship without a cross, theologies without repentance. This false spirituality is the greatest trap of the last days, because those already in the world are vulnerable, but those who consider themselves firm can fall into this performance. The second beast builds a faith that fits the world, but betrays heaven. And those who trust it do not realize they are being shaped. They feel peace, but a peace without truth. And this is what John saw: a deception with the voice of spirituality. The beast does not speak from outside religion. It speaks from within. It participates in worship, writes books, preaches at conferences, appears smiling beside the kings of the earth. But its language empties the cross. It removes the weight of renunciation and makes the gospel merely a tool for emotional comfort, not spiritual transformation. John warns us, when the appearance is that of a lamb, listen carefully, because the speech may be that of a dragon, and in this scenario arises the final movement. The seduction is set, the lie has been sanctified, and now comes the final blow, a system that promises to solve everything but demands something in return, the mark, and it will not be placed by force, it will be accepted with pleasure. John describes with cutting precision the final stage of the beast's dominion, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. Revelation 13:17. It is not merely a tattoo, chip, or visible symbol. It is a spiritual seal that defines who has surrendered. And the most disturbing part, it will not be imposed with shouts. It will be offered as a solution, modern, practical, convenient. The world will accept the mark, not because it is forced, but because it has been trained to desire comfort above truth. The beast knows this. It does not demand loyalty. It offers ease. The problem is presented. The answer is given. And all that is asked is subtle acceptance, a concession, a yes disguised as progress. And billions will say yes, not out of fear, but out of relief. Accepting the mark will, for many, be a matter of daily survival. It will not seem like a spiritual choice. It will be a banking decision, a commercial one, a health one, a technological one. One click, one acceptance, one system update. And behind this simple gesture, an eternal rupture. Because it is not the external act that condemns. It is the heart that surrenders to the system in exchange for security. The beast builds this acceptance calmly. First it seduces, then it convinces. Finally it delivers the mark as if it were a blessing. And those who refuse will be excluded. They will not be able to sell, buy, move, work, live, and so the pressure will be invisible, but unbearable, for those who live without roots in faith. That is why John emphasizes so much. Only those whose names are written in the book will endure to the end. The mark will not seem like a diabolical imposition. It will be sold as empathy, citizenship, intelligence, evolution. Those who refuse it will be seen as insane, dangerous, antisocial, and because of that, the majority will accept without question. The beast does not need to force, it only needs to wear down the spirit of the people, make choosing the Lamb seem like loss, and the system, salvation. And so, chapter 13 of Revelation does not end with visible war. It ends with voluntary surrender. And that is the most frightening part, because there will be no noise, no visible blood, only silence and acceptance. John saw this, and those who understand cannot look at the world the same way again, because the prophecy does not speak of what is to come. It describes what has already begun. What if control has already begun, but you still believe it's freedom? What if the mark is not a technology, but a daily acceptance of error? How many times have you given in, stayed silent, adjusted, just to keep buying, selling, existing? The beast does not want your fear, It wants your silence, and maybe it already has it. The prophecy does not require you to understand everything, but it demands that you decide whom you belong to, even if the whole world is going the opposite way, because the book of life is still being read, and those who do not bow are still seen by God. The question is your name there, or have you already marveled too much at the system? If you feel you need to keep understanding all this, subscribe and turn on notifications, not just to add to the numbers, but to stay awake, because when the beast speaks again, maybe only those who are attentive will notice. And you? Will you keep listening, or will you finally begin to resist?